Hello, everyone. We are here with RayAnn Chi talking about self esteem and ways to boost your self esteem. There are
Yes,
many, many ways, and I think we have to use them all, right?
there are. Yes, absolutely. I mean, whatever sticks. I mean, there's definitely a ton of tools out there, um, but for some, it's really what resonates with with the person, with the individual, because there's infinite possibilities, and we live in a infinite universe.
Yes. A beautiful place that can be very frustrating.
Yes, sometimes I think it's part of the master plan. It's part of being here and being on this plane, you know?
that we have to learn from. Yeah. So there's got to
Hmm.
be trials in order to learn, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was telling you my one of my favorite quotes from Nora Roberts is confidence is like lip gloss, you just got to put it on. I love that quote. And sometimes that's really what it takes, when you're in a situation where you just have to like rise to the occasion kind of, like you just got to put it on. You just have to be confident
Yes.
and that makes you more confident. Is that what you find in a lot of instances?
Um, yes and no. I say yes because there is a moment in time where you do have to just take that leap of faith, no matter how scary it feels like, no matter if it makes sense, like, or it doesn't. And most of the time it doesn't make sense, but our higher self is usually leading us to the next step. And I say no because for so many people, they get stuck and feel so powerless in what they have been conditioned to be, to do, to have. And that causes a lot of limitation. And there is a quote, I don't know who says it, but it's somewhere in the lines of most people are afraid because they are too powerful. And this is
Yes.
so absolutely true that we are that powerful, that the media and everything else outside of us has to put us in a place where we're conditioned so that we don't
Mhm.
get in tuned and tapped into our ability and our infinite potentiality and our power. So that's the yes and no.
Yeah, and I think you can't always just put on an air of confidence. You can't be arrogant, but you have to do the background work as well. But
Absolutely.
sometimes you just when you know that it's right, that's what you have to do. You just have to you have to um have that kind of air about you. And then
Hmm.
I think that when you can start there, that it leads to kind of gaining more and more confidence. And the other thing that I think that we all need to realize, and I've said this before a few times, is that I think that we kind of expect that everybody else has it all together. And
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah. No one's perfect. I mean, we're all doing this. I mean, I do believe that there is always one step. There's always going to be someone a step ahead, and there's always going to
Yeah.
be someone who's better. And so this is where we get to put the pieces to the puzzle to make that pie, and we can all contribute in that way. Um, but yes, I mean, going back to what you were saying as far as what were you saying? I forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I just lost my train of thought. I was like saying
Well,
something.
you were saying that there's always somebody one step ahead, but there's
Yes,
always people behind that are going to learn from you too, you
yes,
know?
yes. But you were saying something before I said that.
Um that kind of that you just have to put on that almost
Yeah,
it's almost a front, but it's not really a front. If you've done your
that's okay.
background work,
That's where I
it's
was
not a front.
going. That it's we're not
Mhm.
perfect, and
Yeah.
so yes, there. It seems like that person has got it all together, and yes, in some ways they do. But at the same time, they're working on themselves the same way you're working on yourself. And that's the key, is really, I wholeheartedly believe that everything starts from us. The way we the way people treat us, the way we think about ourselves is how we give permission to others on how they treat us.
And that's the
Circumstances really
whole
don't
package.
matter. Yeah.
That's the whole package, right? That's the whole brand of who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it is, ma'am. It starts within. That is my brand. That is what my main message is that it starts within. And so long as you keep looking outside of yourself, you're going to keep, I call it the healing hamster wheel. You're going to keep going through this healing hamster wheel, and patterns are going to keep repeating, cycles are going to keep repeating, habits are going to keep repeating, and you're wondering, why are things not changing? If you want a good love relationship, if you want a good relationship with, in general, if you want abundance, prosperity, health, wealth, the whole shebang, because you can have it all. Okay, it doesn't have to be just one. You can have it all. The work has to be done with oneself, and everything. It's like your circumstances will mold to your belief system, basically.
Yes. And changing your belief system takes the next step.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
And
part of the
so
building self-esteem.
but it's not a one-time fix all, right? I mean, you find that it's in layers and layers and layers and layers.
Yes, for sure. It definitely is. Because here's the thing, right? Like, this is how powerful our subconscious limiting beliefs are. So, sometime in childhood, we take on these limiting beliefs, or we're trying to figure out the world around us. And we're giving every single thing a meaning. And so, with that meaning, you take on that as a belief. And so, you go on your entire life believing this belief that is not even true, because a lot of times it's limiting, right? So you go around your life, and so these things create layers and energetic layers. So the more it's like peeling that onion. The more you take that layer off, then you go into another layer, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to like the actual root of where this belief started from, how you attained it. And then from there, it's easier to pivot to create a new self concept or even a new belief. But most of the time, people don't know. And so they have a hard time. And so this is where they're repeating cycles, they're repeating patterns, and they're staying in the same. It's like you go from relationship to relationship to relationship, feeling like I keep attracting the same freaking guy.
Because you do.
What is this? Because of the belief that is subconscious. You're believing somehow, some way, that you can't attract a good relationship. So yes, of course, you're going to repeat it. And it seems like at some point, the person will learn a lesson and be like, you know what, like, it's time to work on me. It's time to get to the bottom of where this is coming from. It's time to get to the core of all of this shenanigans so that I can finally attract the relationship that I truly, truly am deserving of and worthy of and desire.
Yeah. So when people come to you, what is your first step in all of this? What's the first thing that you recommend for people?
So the very first thing, I've dove into so many modalities, and I have found inner child work and shadow work combo. Okay, combo, because some people do it like they go into inner child work and then they do shadow work separately. I recommend doing them together, because a lot of the shadow work in a nutshell are suppressed, repressed, disowned aspects of oneself. And a lot of the times, this has been repressed and suppressed and disowned in childhood because growing up, you're making sense of the world. Somebody told you something like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or oh, you shouldn't be too loud, or oh, you're just being so sweet because you want something, or whatever. So then you decide, I don't want that aspect of myself, and you put it in a box. So this is why combination is great, because a lot of the aspects were created in childhood, and it's easier to work those two together because, again, it was in childhood. So those are the two things that I like to always recommend doing first, because it does get into the deeper layers of one's psyche and consciousness, so that you can really have radical self-acceptance, truly, and really have a deeper self-connection and understand yourself on a much deeper level. Because a lot of things could be surface layer, you know. I like to do the deep work with my
Yes.
clients. I like to go in deep, you know. That's what I'm good at. That is my superpower. I'm thankful that I have that. So, and the one process that has helped so much is inner child work and shadow work.
And sometimes it can come up as something that may not even make sense to you, right? I mean, it's like sometimes it's the smallest thing that is
Yes.
blocking you from so many other things. And yeah, it can be something really small. It can be something really big too.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
It's so
sometimes
true.
these things are just misunderstood.
Yeah, it's and this is why I say inner child, because it's so true, the little thing, because trauma is looked at in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be such a big thing. It could be, you know, even like okay, bullying is not small, but it could be something that, you know, someone said when you were a kid and then you believe that. Or
Hmm.
maybe you were about to get up in class and everybody started laughing. Okay, you perceived it, that maybe they were laughing at you, but maybe they weren't, you know.
Hmm.
And so you carry on this belief like, I can't do that anymore because I got laughed at, you know. So looking at it from the perspective now in an adulthood, because there's no time, past, present, future, really, there's no time. We can go back into that time in space, even though, like, worst time, and be able to basically rewrite that story of, okay, that didn't really happen, because now we have a different perspective from where we're at today, and reparent and mother our inner baby, our inner child.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
So do you see that like that has layers on itself, like you fix one thing, you know, like you thought you were laughed at in class, and so that led to these
mm-hmm.
other
Yep.
instances, and so you repair that. But
Mm-hmm.
do you have to repair them separately, or are they repaired together, or does it just depend?
It all depends. It really starts to show up in different ways. I'm gonna say from me, this is recent, because I do have. I am currently enrolling for my program right now that we start on July 5th, and this is a process I take my clients through. And so, of course, I gotta walk the talk. You know what I mean? Like, we
Mhm.
have to continue to embody what we teach. Like, we can't just be teaching this stuff and not doing the thing. No, you know.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know what? Like, I haven't done this work in quite some time, like in a few months. Like, there's some things that I'd like to resolve. And so I did this inner child work, which is a process that I do, and it's very special. And there's nothing out there because I've done my research. I know. So I do this, and I get celebrate you. And I'm thinking, okay, like, what do you want me to do with this? Right. And so the thing about this is there's also a level of patience, because as the day goes on, you're thinking about this, like, okay, my child told me, my inner baby told me, celebrate you. I'm like, what is this? Right. So I'm going about my day, going about it, and I'm feeling all these energies coming up, and I'm like, what is this? By day like 2.5, 3. Okay, I saw that question. I'm gonna stay in my train of thought and get to that if they have any. So by like 2.5, day 3, I just break down crying. Okay, I'm in my closet and I'm like ugly cry, like like that. And I'm like, oh my God. Because I'm thinking, what is to celebrate? To celebrate is to take time and to praise, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you are worthy of praise. You are worthy of acknowledgement. You're worthy to celebrate. And I'm thinking, this is why I've been so hard on myself, is because I have not given the time to celebrate me. And what does that mean? It could be as little as a praise. When you were a child and you started to wash your face on your own and didn't
Mhm.
get any validation, but you're
Mhm.
saying, look, mom, look at me. I washed my face. Isn't it great? That small little gesture of like, oh my God, baby, you're doing so well, adds up, and it starts to compound and lead to more of this positive self-talk. So when someone is celebrating themselves every single step of the way, okay, so I started to do this. I was like, okay, fine, we're gonna celebrate you, baby. Okay, we're just gonna reparent. So everything I did,
Mhm.
like from the time I woke up to creating my morning elixir, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Like, you this recipe, look at you, stuff like that. That's what my inner child wanted, was the validation, because she did not get it. So, and I've worked on this because I was a huge people
Yeah.
pleaser, approval seeker, and I worked on this, thinking we've got through it already, but this little shift created such a release that was so powerful, and you
I
will
think it's
not
hard to
forget it.
learn how to practice that, to actually like provide that service for ourselves, I think.
Yeah. Which one? Celebrate or
Yeah, to celebrate yourself. That's
yeah,
kind of a
because
hard
we
thing
were
to do.
taught that you celebrate like on your birthday,
Yeah.
one day Mother's Day, one day Father's Day, but really these are real like small little gestures. Even saying I appreciate you is part of celebrating. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be so big, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be so extravaganza.
Yeah.
So that's something that I found, going back to the layers, because there is so many layers. So somebody had a question.
Yeah. And I guess that it will show up on the screen.
Mm,
I didn't know that. So sometimes people don't want to rehash their childhood trauma. It's easier for me to forget. And I totally understand that too. And I think that there are ways that you can go about this without having to remember. You can just know that it's there and still release it without having to go back through it too. I know, like with do you do that kind of work, RayAnn?
so I would have to disagree with, not okay. So one thing, so this is the thing, right? So it's good to, and I get it because I was sexually abused for many, many years as a child. So, and these were the things that I did not want to relive. And it's normal because it's a bigger trauma. And it's normal for a child, because this is like to save the child. When a child goes through trauma, there's there's a like a numbing mechanism, or they just don't remember, and that's part
Mhm.
of it. Because if you were to remember the whole entire thing, you'd be so shocked you'd probably be dead. So it's a natural protective mechanism. But the thing is now you build upon these layers of energy that has become stagnant, and this manifests as dis-ease, whether that be your body, your circumstances around you, where you're attracting to you the worst people on the planet. That's going to continue to happen until you somehow feel into the trauma, because it has to be processed. It has to be processed. And that's why it's so important to do this type of work, because Here's another thing. When my dad transitioned in 2013, I was in so much shock because at that time I was still learning how to process my feelings because I had numbed it for so long. And this is what we're good at. Okay. We're good at numbing feelings, and this is just not healthy. It took me a whole year to finally realize that my dad left. And it just hit me all at once, like slap in the face. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is this? So I started to do the work and realized that I was not good at processing. So the more we get into the deeper work, and some people will not want to remember because it is painful, but the more we get into that and really feel into that and process it, then you'll be able to release the energy that's been building up, and this will open you up. So this is what it is, right? Like most people are, they have a hard time manifesting such whatnot. It's as within, so without. So you're holding all these things, kind of like you're hoarding. You can't bring new things in your life when you're hoarding. I mean, you could, but you're just going to put it on top of, like a big old heap of mountain. And the same thing with energetic wounds, these stagnant energies that are crying to be released, that's showing up in the circumstances. It's always lessons. Then that gives you an opportunity to say, you know what? I need to work on this. Because sometimes sometimes people wait until they get really, really, really ill to do something. And it's going to continue. It's toxic to the body.
Yeah. I think that we're kind of learning more and more to not wait that long, aren't we? Do you kind of see that in the world, that we're getting ahead of it a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should not wait. I mean, it's for the benefit for the person, really. The same thing with forgiveness, right? It's like people will say, "Oh, forgive." Well, how can I forgive and let that go? And it's like, you don't have to forget. You don't have to forget, but the forgiveness is really for for your sake. So you don't have to carry this baggage around. Like, free yourself. Just free yourself. So I would say, remembering is an important piece. I usually don't work with clients who don't want to remember, because remembering is part of the process.
I've had somebody say that you can go through it as an observer. Like, you don't have to go through it, but you go through it as an observer, not really reliving it, but like more objectively. Is that what you find when you do the practice also, is that it's more objective?
Yes, because you get to see it from this point of view and what you've learned so far.
Yeah.
And rewrite the story from this point of view versus from when you were a child.
Okay.
But sometimes, again, like with sexual abuse, it can be a little challenging to have to go back, even as from an objective point of view.
Yeah.
Because that's something you don't want to see, or you don't want to. But as part of the healing process, and even changing out different thought patterns, you go back. And it just depends on, we can go back to that same quote: put that lipstick on and just be courageous, and just, because you never know what you'll find. You never know what you'll find. I know for me, it was scary until I went back, and it was like, wow. Because you really do, you get to see it from all angles. You get to see it from that person's point of view, why they did what they did, your parents' point of view, why they did what they did. For a long time, I felt so betrayed because my parents didn't do anything about it. Nothing. Okay. When they found out, it was like, swept under the rug. Let's not talk about it ever again. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. So I felt so betrayed, and it really hurt me for such a long time. And to now, that was kind of the last piece of my healing, to now look back and understand, like, okay, they were in denial because they just didn't know how. They didn't know how. They just didn't know how. What were they supposed to do? They had no clue how to what to do. They had no idea. So it looked like for me that they didn't care, but really it hurt them, and they did. They just didn't know how to go about it.
So you had to work on forgiveness for them as well as understanding and
Mm-hmm.
then forgiving.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For
That's
my sake, not
yeah,
for
and
them.
yeah. Yeah, and I can kind
Yep.
of see how that wouldn't complete if you don't get that perspective too, because their energy is involved in the situation as
Mm-hmm.
well, right?
Yep.
So you have to kind of transmute all of the energy that is affected.
Right.
Hmm,
Yes,
that's
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah. Because all parties were involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. So what other kind of work do you do then with people? What other kind of modalities do you do or healing do you do?
So I do another one, which is again real. I like the rare stuff. I like the stuff that's not so. I like the stuff that's different. I'm gonna say. So I every single month I do. It's an energy work, and it's through a somatic approach. And there's a saying like, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And so what I do is look at the energy in the quantum and how they move with their hand gestures, or just in general, whatever the approach is for that day, then we can move energy. So I help facilitate them moving their own energy, and or being in touch and in tune with their own energy, because for some people they've never ever felt their own energy. They don't know. So, and it's so important to have this type of mastery within self, because this is how you leave the stuff behind. You don't take stuff on. I use that. See how I'm doing this? Because I
Yeah.
used to take things on. A lot of us are empaths, and so I used to take so much on, and it would affect me. And when you work on your energy, it's like it takes a while, and at that point you don't even get it there. You're just like, nope, we're clearing, return back to sender. Okay, because that's not mine. And to have that understanding, like, how do you know which is yours and which is theirs? The only way to know is to be able to really understand your own energy. Because then when other people's stuff gets on you, you're like, oh no, that ain't mine.
Mm, yeah.
That's not mine. Mm-hmm.
So kind of tell me how you teach people to feel that.
So that's in the healing sessions that I do, which is once a month. It's a little hard to explain, because so it's called movement feedback holography. And so they do a movement, and it's a feedback to me, and I get to see their energy field, and then we work from there. And then they get to, I facilitate. So then I get to show them basically. And what this does is it helps release subconscious blocks, like hundreds, sometimes thousands, because it's energy.
That's so
Everything's
interesting
energy.
because I teach Tai Chi, and so I'm trying to like work this, wondering how this works into that too, because we're moving energy so much during
Yes.
Tai Chi.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's
So, so
I
you're seeing what they're doing. You're
mhm.
seeing the movement then.
Yeah, so the difference I will say, with Tai Chi you do move energy. The difference with Tai Chi and what I do is, so when you're doing Tai Chi, you're aware of it, right? So you're aware of your own energy, you're moving it, right? So, and you're focused in within yourself. The somatic approach is you're having somebody else take a look at your movement. So it's really looking at your blind spots. I couldn't see my blind spots. So somebody else can come in, like a master will take a look at my form in Tai Chi, but I don't think they'll be able to tell from, the way I'm moving it, where my blocks are. So that's the difference.
Huh. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So
Very
yeah, I mean, my
interesting.
husband, he's up there when it comes to Tai Chi. So that's why I was able to like explain, the
Neat.
difference. So yeah,
Yeah. Is he he's does he teach?
people want him to because he's so good and he's like so like hard on himself that he's like, no, I want to like, I want to learn more. But I'm like, but you're so good. So I think eventually he will, because there's so many people are like, could you teach me, please? Like, can you please teach me? Because he's been
Cool.
into martial arts for such a long time that, um, you know, there's a level of mastery
Hmm.
already, even though it's like
Nice.
lifelong. Yeah.
This is the only form I know, but I would like to. I'm getting into qigong a little bit more, and
Oh
that's
gosh,
that's
yes, qigong's
awesome.
so good. Yes,
Yeah.
qigong is like, yes.
So we have Dana, Bill, and 811 Moon. Hi, everybody. And Dana, thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. And Dana
Yes,
just said
yes.
thank you, ladies. So that's
Thank
nice.
you.
And some other things that I kind of wanted to talk about is when you're dealing with self-esteem and trying to boost your self-esteem. I think
Mhm.
that one of the first things that you have to do is stop judging others. You know,
Yes.
if you look at yourself first and say, I'm not going to judge, I'm not going to gossip, that I'm going to break this down, then you stop expecting that. Like immediately, you
Hmm.
stop expecting it from other people.
Yes,
And
I
that can
agree.
boost to your self-esteem, like right away.
Absolutely. Yep. I 100% agree. It's it goes back into the saying in the Bible, like, do unto you as you would to others. That is the golden rule. If we can start to look at others in a light that we would like to see them as, okay, that is a reflection. And so that goes to the judgment, is that when all we see is bad on people, what does that say about us?
Hmm.
It's like a bounce back. And that's why they say be careful what you put out, because it'll just boomerang. And a lot of the times, especially when the person in front of us, right? Like, let's say the person in front of me does not consent to what I'm saying, as far as you're this, you're this, you're that, and the other, that's going to come back tenfold to me. And and imagine, okay, this is a self-talk that we create for ourselves too. So we're scrolling through our phones, oh, look at her, she this and that, blah 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 blah. Like, your subconscious is hearing that as if
Hmm.
that's you. You're talking to yourself, that, not the person right here, but
Right.
really. And that's why praising others is powerful the same way we praise ourselves. Um, like when somebody wins, that's what, in like the law of reciprocity, right? Like when you want to manifest something, you naturally want, when someone succeeds, you high five them and be so happy for them. Instead of how we were conditioned in the school system is competition, be jealous because she got
Hmm.
an A and you didn't. Okay, what determines how I didn't get an A and she did, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a powerful thing to really lift each other up as part of self-esteem, for sure. And that doesn't happen until the person actually builds a self-esteem, because they're more confident in saying, you know what, you're so beautiful, and whatever the praise would be, because they're doing
I
that to themselves.
I think that kind of what you're saying, it raises you to that winning level, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you just stay down where you
Yeah.
are. But
Yeah.
yeah, it elevates your energy to the level of the person that's doing the great thing, kind of.
Absolutely. Yep. And I know
That's
that was hard for me in the beginning, like 10 years ago, where I was like, just like really breaking through these barriers and really getting into not being jealous, you know, because that was something that I grew up. I saw my mom, because she was very insecure. So of course it's a natural thing for her to feel jealous. And so you take these not beliefs, but you take on this as part of you, as like your actions.
Yeah, your conditioning. Yeah.
Yeah. And you live life like that. And then you see as if, oh, they're just jealous. Okay, who's really jealous here? Who's
Mm-hmm.
really jealous? Is it them or you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a few years ago that I was hanging around some people that were very, very judgmental
Mm-hmm.
and just would talk about everyone. And I don't know whether what they were saying was true or not, but I realized it didn't matter whether it was true or not. And
Mm-hmm.
I just did not want that in my life anymore.
Yeah.
And I got away from it, stopped hanging out with them, and I was so much happier not being around that kind of negativity. And um it really, I really noticed how it seemed like they were trying to boost themselves up by
Mm-hmm.
tearing down
Mm-hmm.
everybody else.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
so many other people.
Yeah.
And um right at the beginning, it didn't hit me how really wrong that was, but over
Mm-hmm.
time it really made me feel very uncomfortable, and I just had to step away from them.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't try to change them necessarily.
Right.
But I could not be in their energy field anymore, and I felt a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's like hurt people hurt others.
Yes, very much.
So I say just stay in your lane, okay? It's the easiest way. Like seriously, like especially now, right? Like with social media and just everything is perspective. Everything is perspective. Like, okay, this is looking cute and all, but let me just turn the camera to the side and I got a little box over here, okay, that I need to unload. Okay?
Yes.
She looking cute here, or let me just get up and I got my workout shorts. Everything is perspective. And so, yeah, we see how others, glamorize certain things, but it's like we don't know what they did to get there. We don't know
Yeah.
all around. We don't know, right? It's like, and
That
that
it's
leads to
just a
so much
green screen.
comparison. Exactly. I see
Yeah.
that now. I see that with Zoom. They have that feature because I've been seeing, and you can kind of tell, like I can tell because there's kind of like this like holographic thing going on, or when they
Yeah,
drink
like part of them
water,
will be missing.
right? And then where they drink water, and it's like, and I'm like, what you really hiding? Okay, you telling me you make
Exactly.
6-figure income? Hmm. Okay, if
Yeah.
you did, why are we hiding it? You know.
Uh-huh.
So it's all perspective.
Yeah, but that is a lot of people's personality. It's a green screen.
Yeah. And see, this goes with shadow work because, like, shadow work naturally, there's that mask, the persona, the personality that we put out. And so to have a little bit more wholeness and feel more authentic and that radical self acceptance, this is why shadow work and inner child work is like the beginning steps of, again, radical self-acceptance. And if you want to love yourself more, build the self-esteem. And I mentioned this to you about self-concept, is really, really having, like, changing your self-concept, and everything else changes after that.
Yes.
you know
Yeah, and sometimes that can be a lot easier than we think it's going to be too,
mm-hmm.
that changing that self-concept and just making up a new brand for yourself can be a lot
Yep.
easier than what we expect. So Dana
Yeah.
said, so what if it's not about jealous, if it's about doing what's right? Do what's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, the jealousy can be a really hard thing to deal with sometimes. And I know that you can be perceived, you know, even when you're trying to do the right thing, when you're really, really trying to do the right thing, it can be perceived as jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, Dana. I get that. But I think that if you're asking the question, you really want to do the right thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. And I would say I would just pay no mind what they think, because really in reality is whatever our intention was to begin with, and if our intention was to do good, then why have anybody else say affect us?
Right.
You know, if someone says, oh, but you did this or you're doing that, and it's like, okay, great, that's what you think, that's fine, because I know the truth of what I was doing and I know my truth. So really, that shouldn't matter,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and keep doing what you think is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bill comments, think it, believe it.
Exactly, exactly. And as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing to change but self concepts,
Mhm.
because when we succeed in transforming ourselves, literally, okay, the world, the old world that you used to know, just crumbles away, and everything else shifts according to your self belief, according to your self concept, according to your self image. This is how powerful we are. We see this in the movie when people are like manipulating their reality. This is what we do on a daily basis, depending on our state. Like when somebody wakes up really in a crappy mood and says, oh my God, this just sucks today, and la 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 la. And then they stub their toe and then they focus on that stub toe. And it's like, damn it, what's next? And then they, you know, and it's just like this snowball of
Mhm.
bad events. Or it's all choosing. We can choose to be in a more, choose the, again, perspective. We can choose the beauty out of life no matter how crappy and shitty it is, and go from that state. And then everything else, it's like this like rug opening, like all this beautiful magic and like appreciation and gratitude just continues to overflow, and
Yeah.
we can stay there if we want to. So that goes with self concept again, is the way we perceive ourselves and how we see ourselves. That's a, it's a reflection. It's going to reflect back. Like me and my husband, we've been married for 23 years. And I will say, okay, now, like you would think, okay, 23 years, it doesn't feel like 23 years, which is great. Okay, we've had our moments in the very beginning. We had some toxicity going on. He came from a crazy family. I did too. We had to learn. We were 18.
Mm.
Fast
Mhm.
forward, yeah, so you know, we were kids. So it gets better and better. It gets better and better. And when I see him in the light of how I see myself, he treats me exactly how I see myself. Period. Period.
Interesting.
Yeah. And as so long as we see, again, do unto others as you would yourself, if you see someone in the worst light possible, like that person is this and blah, 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 that means the work internal hasn't
Mhm.
shifted. When you start seeing others in a different light, this you know that you've shifted internally. When you start to see your in-laws in a different light, when you used to see that, okay,
Mhm.
when you used to see them back then as, you know, and then you start to really have this deep appreciation for them, then you know it's like, wow, I've made shifts within myself, because this means that I am in deep appreciation of myself. Therefore, I see others the same way. It's
Yeah,
a
and
law. It's a reciprocity. It's the law. It's a universal law. It has to happen. You
I
can't
think that
manipulate that.
I think that we need to realize that we all do have those filters though, you know? I mean, because because you can make somebody as wonderful or as horrible as you want to be in your own head.
Yes,
No matter where
exactly.
they are or not. Yeah. I've always thought that that's
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah. And when we start to see people in that light, no matter, because again, right? We don't know. Like let's take a criminal, quote unquote criminal. Okay, let's just take them for example. But really, I don't believe in criminals because again, we don't know their history. Okay, that person that is doing what they're doing may have been raped, abused, sold, drugged, whatever the case may be. And they're not saying anything. They're lashing out because they don't know any better because nobody's ever taught them. They don't know how to self regulate. They don't know how to look at themselves in any other way but shitty. And so it projects out into the world as shitty, and other people look at him as shitty, and then it just perpetuates and pacifies the belief subconsciously and continues to present you evidence of the shitty outlook that you have in life or yourself.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think compassion is a big deal, and I think that compassion is a big part of your own self-esteem too.
Yeah.
Is just I think that you not only have to see yourself through a different perspective, but you have to see others through different perspective too.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. This has changed for me so dramatically because again, it's the self-work, and the more we work on ourselves and the more again like staying in our lane. Like I don't even go through social media for the reasons that I used to back in the day. I just don't. I stay in my lane. I work on myself. When I go through my feed and someone's winning, I'm like, yes, because I know I'm winning. Okay, that's
Yeah.
it. So why,
So we were talking about before before we started this broadcast
Mhm.
about that we are children of God,
Yes.
and I think that leads on to the gratitude, don't you?
Hmm.
That
Absolutely.
goes on to that,
Yeah, and the
and
compassion and looking others because yes, God within. You are
yeah,
an expression of God. You are a child of God. So I see you as such, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm like, look at God expressing through Jessie. Okay, look how
Mhm.
pretty that is. Like if we start to make that shift and see people in that light,
Mhm.
things change.
Yeah, total
Like,
change.
yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about was that everything tells us that we have to change our lives, that
Mhm.
everything about us has to change, and that we have to have this life-changing moment, and that all of a sudden things will be different for us and we'll be a lot happier. We're never told to just be happy with where we are. We're never told
Mm.
that, you know, every day I walk into my house and I'm like, I love it here so much. And it's not a huge house, but I'm so happy. And moving into a bigger house may not make me happy. And so I'm
Mhm.
allowed to be happy where I am. I'm
Mhm.
allowed to do that.
Yep.
And I don't have to listen to anybody else telling me that I need to be anywhere else.
Yep. And that's true. And I'm going to touch on that because, so like the people pleasing, right?
Mhm.
I found that I didn't even know what I wanted and what I liked, and because I was always wanting what others thought I should have. And that goes back to working on oneself because when we get to really know ourselves on a deeper level, then we get to understand really truly what we truly want in our lives. And it doesn't have to be that huge giant house that you see that people are like, oh yeah, make 10K, 25K, 35K a month and be some people may not want that
Mhm.
truly, and some people may just want to be comfortable and say, I just want some good amount of money coming in each month to pay my bills, and that's all I want, you know. And it takes that level of understanding within self to really get to that space of, okay, do I want this because so and so, because I want to make so and so proud, or do I want this because so and so likes it, or do I want this because I want to show, it's like really getting in touch with yourself and really understanding what it is. That clarity will take you someone a long way for sure.
So, do you think that if you start asking yourself that question with everything, that it makes a big change in your life? I mean, like if you think, "Oh, I have to have this candy bar. Wait, why do I have to have this candy bar? Do I really want it, or is there an advertisement telling me that I have to have it?" You know?
Yes. Yeah.
That if you really start on the smallest level and work your way up to everything that you think that you have to have, does as does that build your self-confidence when you start doing those kinds of things?
Yes, because it leads more clarity to yourself, and clarity leads to confidence. Because now, when you go out into like having it with your friends, right? And you're not prone to peer pressure. When they say, hey, why don't you have this? And you're like, nah, I'm good. Because you know for certain you don't like that. So
Mhm.
nobody's going to force you. So absolutely, that exudes confidence. And it's like, dang, she knows her stuff. She really does.
My husband tried to peer pressure me into drinking more water.
And how do you feel about that? I mean,
I
water
had
is
to give
good for
in.
you. I mean, this is the exception of like if it's,
Yeah.
water
Exception.
is like an essential. You know what I mean? So I agree, water is good for you. But then again, certain people, and that's somebody like that's you to experiment, like how much water is too much water for
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
or what's too little and what's a good amount, because not everybody's going to have the same amount of water,
Yeah.
you know, it's a different
Yes.
needs.
And, going back to the gratitude thing, I just I've done a kind of a practice where you take the thing that you're most unhappy about
Mm,
and go through layer by layer by layer to find out what you can be grateful for about that thing. And that is so amazing.
I
That is
love
so
that.
powerful.
Yeah.
What do you teach on gratitude in your practice?
So for me, for gratitude, I keep it really simple. And I've shifted with the gratitude to I celebrate, because with the celebrate, it it brings the feeling of gratitude.
That's
Because
awesome.
again, we forget to celebrate ourselves. You woke up this morning, you brushed your teeth, you took a shower. Some people have a really hard time getting out of bed.
Mhm,
Some people don't take showers for a whole week because they feel so crappy.
mhm.
And when you say, I celebrate you for taking a shower today, all of a sudden that feels so good. Because for some people, they have a hard time finding what to be thankful for, right?
Yeah.
Or having a hard time to be, because the circumstances is so god awfully bad, supposedly. It's like, well, what am I going to be thankful for? Like let's say you're home. What am I going to be thankful for? I'm freaking homeless. You know, well, if we could, and this is like, if this resonates, for the people that have a hard time gratituding, okay, you could say, I celebrate today that I got some water. And you
Mhm.
could say too, you're thankful. But there's a difference with the energy. If you hear that,
Hmm.
there's a slight difference
Yeah.
with it, because the celebrate part is almost like bringing you into the state of, dang, I really did that. Like, I really did that. I freaking got water over by the nasty little lake over there, and I purified it, and I got some drinking water. Holy crap.
Mhm.
So therefore I'm thankful. So that's been like just a minor shift. Um, but if we go to just gratitude, it's just being thankful for every little part of our body. Like, I'm thankful for my nails that grow. and they're not weak and brittle. I'm thankful for my hair. I'm thankful for my skin. I'm thankful for my eyesight. I'm thankful for my legs that take me out every single day, that make me go walk up and down the stairs. I'm thankful for my organs, my heart, my liver, my kidneys. I'm thankful for my hair, you know. I'm thankful
Mhm.
for my voice, that I get to speak to others without getting tired. I'm thankful for my energy, that I get to be in this state of vibrancy, which age is just a belief. But
Mhm.
you know, I'm thankful, like little things like that. I'm thankful for my
And
feet.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm always grateful for air conditioning because I live in
Yes.
Arizona.
Okay. I we just moved to Nevada, so we right there with you. It was 129 degrees the other day, and I'm like, Lord, 120, like you might be
Oh.
130. Yeah, I know. But you know, it's dry heat, so I feel like it hits different. It's not like
It's
California where it's a little bit more humid. So,
it's a little too dry right now, but hopefully we'll get some rain soon.
oh, I want some rain over here. I doubt, like, we don't
Yeah,
get rain here. So,
maybe a little bit, maybe some.
yeah,
Yeah,
tiny.
I think that we have so much more to be grateful for than we usually consider, you know? Like there's
For
always
sure.
something more. There's always something more to write on that list if you're making a list. And I think that one thing that we do forget to write down is ourselves, you know, like you're
Yep.
saying, celebrate what what we do.
Yeah.
And and I think sometimes it's really hard if you're um thinking about when someone else passes through your day and some of those little things that we do just automatically for people, we forget to celebrate those things too, and we need to do that
Yep.
because that boosts your confidence too, I think.
Yeah. It does. It leads to higher self esteem because your self talk is on a different level. Like,
Yeah.
again, let's go back to when we were kids, right? Like, if we were, you know, if you grew up when your parents just kind of going day by day, you know, didn't take the time, or you only got praise because you got a straight A or something, right? That doesn't happen anymore. So we
Yeah.
forget. So if we were to celebrate the littlest thing, like you cooked your food. How did you learn how to cook?
Uh-huh.
Damn, girl, this tastes so good. I'm so proud of you. You know? So
Yeah.
then this kind of boosts your confidence naturally. This boosts your self talk naturally because you're like, wow. And then you find other things, you know, and it's like your handwriting, you know, or you're learning how to articulate your words. Small things. Or it could just be like you worked out and you took a walk today. Girl, pat
Mhm.
yourself on the back. I'm so proud of you. And this is me self talking to me. So this
Yeah.
is, I encourage everybody to self talk this way to you. If you're having a hard time self talking to yourself, or you just have a really bad self talk, like I used to have, like a lot of us do. Okay, you couldn't outdo me when you. Okay, just saying. Um, Celebrate yourself.
Well,
It's
and
a fast way.
there's times that I will tell my husband, "Okay, I'm gonna tell you that this happened and this is how I need you to respond," you know? Like, I need you to to jump up and down and say, "Yay, that's awesome."
Yeah, why
Because I
not?
need that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Just
great. I do the same thing with my husband. I'm like, listen, okay, this is how I want you to say things to me right now because that's all I want to hear.
mhm.
And that's okay. It's so great to be able to express your love language and to be able to express what you desire from
Yeah,
your
'cause he may
partner.
not have any idea that that's what I need in response, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, right. So it's like they're learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're just about out of time here, so any final thoughts that you want to put out there?
Build your self concept and it'll change your life. And if anybody wants to find me, you can find me on Facebook. Uh, my name right there, RayAnn Chi. And also, I do have my YouTube channel too. So and it's RayAnn Chi dash master your reality. So, and I will be coming out with them bangers when it comes to, you know, self concept, self esteem. And this is like my alley. Like I love this topic. So I'm glad that I was able to do this with you today.
Yes, thank you very much.
You are so welcome.
It's great. And yeah, we'll look for you on Facebook. And I didn't put enter, so
I hope
hopefully
this was helpful for people.
I think it was. I think it will be. I think that that just reminding people that you can make a shift. That's the first start, right? I mean, that's the first place that you need to go, is just to remember that it doesn't have to be exactly what we perceive it to be right now.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like follow your heart, follow your intuition, follow your gut, and literally it does not make sense. But when you take that leap of faith and trust is so big. God, source, universe will back you up.
Yeah.
The law of
All right here.
reciprocity. Yes, like when
Yeah.
you trust yourself, God will trust you back.
Yeah.
People will trust you back. It's a law.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really
You're
appreciate it.
so welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for being here in the chat. We appreciate it so much. And
thank you, everyone.
And I'll be back next week, and check out RayAnn's Facebook page and YouTube, and lots of other great videos and stuff on her channel. So check them out.
Okay. Thank
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.